Am I the idiot for not wanting my female best friend to move out once I get married? I know this sounds a little weird, but I'm in such a strange position right now and I genuinely have no idea what to do. So me, male 32, and my best friend Sam, female 32, have been living together for 5 years now. Originally it was supposed to be a temporary situation because of some health issues she was having, but we decided she would move in permanently when we found out her health wasn't going to get better. She's schizophrenic and blind, along with having various other medical issues, so a lot of daily tasks are difficult for her. Our arrangement is, I cook, clean, drive, and do other things she struggles with, while she pays for all our shared living expenses. This honestly has been a dream situation for us. It allows me to do my dream job, for which pay isn't great, without ever really having to worry about money, while she lives a pretty normal, independent life and gets support with her health issues, plus she never has to do housework. I met my girlfriend Emma, female 31, 3 years ago. Sam and Emma were never super close, but they were always friendly and Emma was always super understanding of our living situation and never mentioned having a problem with it to me. Recently we started talking about getting married and moving in together. While we were discussing it, I mentioned that I didn't know what would happen to Sam once we got married. Emma got kind of irritated, and said Sam would just move out and get her own place finally. I reminded her that it wasn't that simple, but we started fighting and I asked to change the subject. It came up again when Emma said something about moving into my apartment, and I told her we couldn't because it was Sam's apartment, not mine, and I'd never be able to afford the rent. Edit. Emma has known the whole time about how my financial situation works. This is no surprise to her. I guess she didn't know the apartment isn't mine, but we still have the money to get a place to live and support ourselves without Sam. We started fighting again. I said Sam could never live by herself and I wasn't sure I could get married if it meant I had to leave her alone. Emma said she needed space to think and drove away. A couple hours later she texts me and basically says that I can keep having an emotional affair with Sam if I want, but she won't put up with it anymore. She doesn't want to talk to me for a week, and then after that we can talk about if we want to be together. I'm seriously so lost and conflicted on what to do. Emma never expressed these opinions before. I completely understand why she's upset, but Sam isn't a regular roommate that can just move out. I want to be with Emma and live with her, but I can't just kick Sam out on the side of the road either. I'd absolutely be willing to leave Sam if she found another arrangement that worked for her. But I might be TA for not being willing to leave Sam without a new caretaker to marry Emma. Edit. You guys are right. It's dumb for me to try and hide this from Sam. She probably would want to know what's going on. I'm going to tell her later when I pick her up from work. Also, while my pay isn't great, including my savings and Emma's job too, we could get married and be fine financially without Sam's money. And Emma knew our financial arrangement this whole time. It's no surprise to her. Lastly, I just want to make it clear that while I'm hesitant to leave Sam, it's not because I like the money and the lifestyle she provides. I want to marry Emma. This is 100% about what's best for Sam. But Sam and I will talk about it in a few hours and I'll update then. Now for a few comments before the update. Info. Have you actually ever discussed with Sam how comfortable she'll be with this? Why are you speaking for her? I'm sure Sam has opinions on what she can/can't do and possibly have others in her deep corner that could help. Talk with Sam, then go back to Emma after speaking with her. I can't come up with a decision right now. Then the original poster responded with, Sam needs heavy support for her medical issues and said herself that living alone isn't an option. I'm not just making that up. And while she does have plenty of other friends she could live with/get support from, she needs someone to actually care for her, and that's completely different. Most people aren't up for that. I probably should talk to Sam, but I know she'd feel guilty, and I don't want her to since it's not her fault, so I wanted to fix it myself so she wouldn't have to find out. Comment 2. The problem here is that Emma wants to marry you and you alone. Not to marry you and Sam. You never mentioned that you would or could not abandon Sam. If you want to spend your lifetime caretaking Sam, I respect your choice. But the chances of you finding a woman who is willing to share your attention with Sam is highly unlikely. No idiots here. Now for the update. Hi guys. Thanks so much for all the comments and advice on my last post. I just wanted to update you all on the situation since then. You guys were right that I should have included Sam in the conversation about all this from the beginning. She was, like me, surprised at Emma's reaction. Sam and I agreed that open communication between all three of us is the best way to fix this, so we decided not to talk about it until all of us were talking together. I gave Emma the space she asked for a week, and then called her and asked if she would be willing to come over so we could talk about it. We had a very long, very emotional conversation that night. Emma apologized for blowing up and said that while she's always understood and respected me and Sam's relationship, she hates feeling like she has to share me. She said she wanted to be my first priority, not Sam, and if I couldn't do that she understood, but she didn't want to be with me anymore. I told her she had nothing to apologize for, that I was sorry for acting the way I did, that I loved her more than anything in the world and I was stupid for doing anything to make her feel like that wasn't true. Sam also apologized for crossing boundaries, and that if Emma wanted to get married she wouldn't get in the way of that. She said that this past week had made her reconsider a lot of things, and that she wanted to be as independent as she could be, and that she knew being her caretaker had been hard on me. We did a lot more talking than that, but that was the gist of the conversation. I asked Emma, when we were alone, if she would take me back. She said she loved me and she was glad for my change of heart, but she still needed space to think about if our relationship was going to work. 2 days ago we went out on our first date since then, and she told me she wanted to try again. I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. We managed to find a place a short walk from Sam's, and we've been helping her look into medical caretakers and housekeepers so she can have some space and independence. This is a huge change for all of us, but Sam will still be a part of me and Emma's life. She just won't depend on me anymore. And anyways, I think all of us were ready for a new chapter. Everything has worked out so much better than I could have hoped for. I'm so lucky to have such special people in my life. Thanks again to everyone who helped me with this. Edit. Honestly, I can't believe the people predicting the collapse of my marriage or telling me to abandon my best friend. Me and Emma are both deeply in love and over the moon about this next step in our life. She loves Sam about as much as I do and also wants to be able to help out sometimes. Sam needs mental support as much as physical support, and I'm no longer providing physical support. I'm not going to run away as fast as I can to prove a point. Emma's a grown adult. If she was unhappy, she would say something like she has before. Honestly, I wasn't looking for advice, just wanted to share this fantastic news. Some of you guys are pretty cruel. This is really ruining my happiness about being engaged, so I might end up taking it down. We'll see. Comment 1. After reading through the OG post, do you think it best to get a new place so close to Sam? Will you not be tempted to be going over there and fall into your old ways? It is kind of you to be looking out for her, but it still seems like you are putting her first. Frankly, it doesn't matter if she was. Surprised by Emma's reaction. Did she think that Emma would be okay with also being her live-in caregiver? You aren't out of the woods yet. You got her back for now, but you really need to be putting work in to show where your priorities lay. Comment 2. Firstly, let me just congratulate you, sir, for having displayed a remarkable commitment to compassion, understanding, and human decency in such an unconventional and emotionally complex scenario. My commendation for being a paragon of virtue in a world that can often lack these qualities is endless. However, my first comment has to be that you are inarguably the sheriff of a whole town for this entire scenario. And let me explain why. You've got this savior complex going on with Sam, using her health issues to make you feel better about yourself. It's quite pitiful when you look at it objectively. The fact that you took upon yourself the role of a caretaker for your adult friend, out of what? Misguided nobility? A hero complex? Don't make me laugh. Secondly, to Emma. Emma, what are you doing, my dear? You are selling yourself short in a major way. You're marrying a man who has one foot in another relationship already. It's only a matter of time before you realize you've signed up to be second best. I just hope it's sooner rather than later, because no one deserves that. And Sam, if you're reading this, you've allowed yourself to become a burden on your friend. It's simply not okay, even if your health isn't great. No adult should have to care for another in such a dependent way unless they're a professional caregiver. Take some responsibility, woman. So, in essence, you're all TA. Please, everyone, prove me wrong. Show me how this dysfunctional tricycle isn't destined to crash and burn. Seriously, enlighten me. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for being a burden on my sister? When I, male 21, was a kid, my mom passed away and my sister, female 28, was basically my maternal figure. This happened when I was 6 and my dad goes to work at 5 a.m. and only comes back around 11 p.m. My sister usually took care of me. She sacrificed a lot to take care of me, and she spoiled me a lot too. Despite my dad telling her not to worry about cooking, she would always come home from school and cook, and she was the one who helped me pack for school trips. My dad and I are really grateful to her, and she always says she wouldn't have done anything different. She was basically my mom, and I'm very close with her. She calls me daily and checks in on me, and does the same with my dad. Once again, for my dad and I, we couldn't imagine life without her. We both feel really bad about her sacrificing her childhood, but she insists she didn't sacrifice anything as she still did stuff and all she did extra was cook and help take care of. But that's a huge responsibility that me and my dad acknowledge. My sister and her girlfriend 24F have been in a relationship for 2 to 3 years. I recently moved to my sister's city after transferring to her college. I went to visit her and her girlfriend and catch up over lunch since it's been 6 to 7 months since I've seen my sister. This was my first time meeting her GF. When I saw my sister and met her GF, everything was normal. My sister invited me to visit their apartment whenever I had a chance. My sister asked me if I wanted some of her home-cooked meals she made for me as a kid, and I smiled and asked if she could make one of my favorites. I love my sister's cooking and I was really happy she offered. Her GF's face contorted, but she didn't say anything. My sister got called into a work emergency at her hospital and told me and her GF to continue lunch without her and finish meeting each other. As soon as my sister left, her GF's attitude started changing. She told me my sister always spoke so fondly of me when all I seemed like was a burden, and how my dad and I were misogynistic and brainwashed my sister to be our servant. Shegf said she is my sister, a victim who doesn't realize she's a victim. She said so many hurtful things and said I came back into my sister's life, and even now I'm being a burden by asking her to cook for me. We both left, but it didn't end there. She messaged me on Instagram with more of the same stuff. She said if I care about my sister I won't tell her the conversation we had, since my GF was just looking out for my sister, and I would slowly take me and my dad out of my sister's life. I feel so bad. I never wanted my sister to lose her childhood or be my servant. The more I think about it, the more I think maybe her GF is right? So am I the idiot for being a burden on my sister her entire life? Should I slowly distance myself from her? What do I do to let her live her own life? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Tell your sister immediately. Her GF is trying to alienate her from her family, and is likely controlling her other relationships as well. You aren't a burden, and the GF sounds like the sort of poison you don't want anywhere near your sister, who seems like a very kind person. You have written proof that the GF is harassing you and manipulating your sister. I recommend you send it to your sister. Then the original poster responded with, but what if this ruins their relationship? My sister seems happy with her. I don't want to once again be the reason she sacrifices it. Knowing my sister, there's a good chance she may end it because she tends to be overprotective of me. What if she ends up denying herself happiness? Comment 2. Not the idiot. Please tell your sister what is happening. This is not okay. Also, as someone who had a hand in raising my younger sister, and have more of a mom/daughter relationship with, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. Yes, I gave up a lot, but the love and pride I feel for my sister is more than I ever could describe. It sounds like your sister may feel the same about you. Don't let this girlfriend tear that apart. Now for the update. Thank you all for your advice. I collected evidence of my sister's GF and the messages she sent me, and was thinking about whether or not to show my sister. I talked to my father about it since it includes him too, and my father cried at the thought of his daughter being better off without him. But both my father and I don't want to cut my sister out of our life, and we thought we were selfish. My father has never cried except for when my mom died. He didn't cry when his parents died. But that day he cried, thinking about not having contact with his daughter. The second time in my life I've seen him cry. I finally showed my sister with my dad, and she was shocked. She said she's never thought of it as a burden to care for me, and she hugged me, and we all had a family crying session as we reflected on the hardships and memory after my mother passed away. My father and I told my sister we don't mind what the girlfriend did, and she should be with her if she's happy. But my sister said it's run its course. Anyone who doesn't like my dad and me isn't right for her, is what she said, and that the three of us are a package deal. My sister broke it off with her GF, and her GF unfortunately has nowhere to go since my GF let her stay in her apartment so far without asking for rent. My sister blocked her on everything, and so did I. Her GF messaged me on a burner account saying she doesn't even care that I made her homeless. That's the least of her happiness. But it's that I ruined my sister's love and that I'm homophobic. I showed my sister those messages and my sister laughed and told me to ignore any communication from her. My sister has assured me I didn't ruin the relationship, and she would have been heartbroken if I or my dad distanced ourselves. She said she's proud of the Alan I grew up to be and she wouldn't change anything about the past. We both cried again. That's it. Thank you, Reddit. Edit. At first I made a post on account to not spam subreddit, but realized I could edit here. A lot of people mentioned we should do something for my sister to show her our appreciation. I reached out to her boss, who is my friend's older brother, and asked if she had any vacation days, and he said she should be getting a winter break for Christmas. Usually she spends this break at home with us or somewhere else since she's saving up. I talked it through with my dad, and one of my sister's dreams has been to visit the Canary Islands. She's always told us this, and has even said it would be a perfect winter spot to avoid the chill. So we are pulling together money to get her a 12-day round trip. We will have everything booked in the next week, and we will surprise her with it as soon as everything is confirmed. That's all. Once again, thanks to Reddit. I won't be doing any more posts or anything. I'm going to abandon this account soon. Thank you all. We are also paying for 2 of her best friends to go with her, obviously. We don't want her to go alone, as that's not fun. Comment 1. I'm so glad everything worked out for you and your family, and you can continue to love each other unconditionally. Thank you for updating us on what happened. Comment 2. This is so wholesome. Just make sure you always tell her how appreciative you feel for all she's done. She should hear everything you said in the original post. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for being upset that I won't see my grandkid for Christmas and calling out my daughter? I need an outsider opinion. I, female 46, have been having problems with my daughter Sarah, 24. It began when she eloped with her husband 3 years ago. Me and my husband were really sad that we couldn't see her get married or even know about it until it was over. We were sad but got over it. It was her day, and if she didn't want anyone there, then that was that. We talked on the phone or met up at least every week, so it was a huge surprise. Then they moved down 2 states. It would be a trip to visit, so we still talk on the phone more instead of visits. So for holidays we would visit or they would visit. This year at Thanksgiving she brought a surprise, her son Dave, 1 month. I didn't even know she was pregnant. We talked all the time and nothing. Again, it was sad that we missed such a large milestone in her life but didn't say anything. We were happy to meet the grandbaby. I called today to ask about what they wanted me to bring out for the baby for the Christmas visit, the old baby bed and whatnot. Sarah told me that they will not be coming up for Christmas. I asked if we were going down this year. She said no, it was just the nuclear family for Dave's first Christmas. I asked if we could FaceTime Christmas morning or that day to see Dave and their tree, and she said no. After that conversation I talked to my husband. We are both sad again and tired of missing milestones in Sarah's life. I sent Sarah a text that me and her dad are going to take a step back. Low contact. She called and asked what this was about. I told her, and it broke into an argument. That it is her life, and she can do what she wants with her kid and so on. I told her she clearly doesn't want us involved in her life, and we are stepping out for now. She called me an ass. So am I the idiot here? I need a second opinion. Now for a few comments before the update. There have to be some missing pieces here. There's no way your relationship with her pre-elopement was as healthy as you're stating if she's putting this much effort into distancing herself from you. And the fact that your gut reaction to disagreeing with her choice was to go low contact instead of talking to her about why she's distancing herself is a huge red flag. Something's not right here. Comment 2. Usually when adult children are hiding big parts of their lives, it's because the person they are hiding from stomps boundaries. Take a really good look at how you've behaved over her lifetime. Did you ignore her boundaries? If not, then it could be her relationship. He could be isolating her and convincing her that she needs to stay away. Now for the update. I took everyone's advice, and it has been a long week for the family. I gave her a call after a lot of people asked me to reach out again and asked her straight up what she wanted. Did she want us out of her life? What is going on, and to please be honest. She was quiet for a bit and hung up after saying give her some time. I thought that was the end of it, and she would reach out later or never. Well, on Monday she showed up at our house after an 8-hour drive. Sarah sat both of us down and told the full story of what was going on. She was happy with eloping and just didn't want to spend money on a wedding. We knew this one. For the baby, she was never pregnant. Her husband cheated on her and got another woman pregnant. Sarah found out about 2 months before the kid was born. She didn't tell us because Sarah knew we would tell her to leave him, 100% true. She wanted to fix the marriage, and in doing that she kept it a secret so her husband wouldn't get any backlash. She told us the only reason they were able to meet Dave was due to Biomom dropping the kid off so she could visit her family across the country. There is no custody agreement. It's been a huge mess on their end and the marriage is rough at the moment. Sarah was planning to go to Christmas at our place at the beginning and explain the situation, but Dave would be with Biomom and husband didn't want the secret out. So when we called her saying we were going to take a step back, Sarah was very upset. She thought she was losing her family over a secret to protect her husband. Her husband didn't help since he never had a close family, so he didn't understand why she was upset. Sarah and her husband got into a huge argument about the whole ordeal. When I called again, she already made up her mind that she will be telling us and going to Christmas at our house. She took time off and drove down and will stay for Christmas. She doesn't know what she will do with her husband and if she will try to fix it or leave. She did tell us to stay out of it since she wants her decision to be 100% on her. We will respect that even though we are hoping she leaves him for this stunt. Thank you everyone that commented on the last post. You had some great advice and made us really think about what was going on. Comment 1. Amazing how much a conversation can solve. I'm glad that she was able to be open with you. As a mom, if I were you, and I suspect you have already done this, I would tell her that whatever she needs from you, she can have it. You won't say I told you so if she wants to try with the husband and it fails. You will accept all her choices and you won't judge. I say that because I'm guessing she's going to need someone to talk to and she is going to want to talk with you. You will offer opinions and be a sounding board if she needs it. She sounds level-headed but in a tough situation, and knowing that you're going to have her back whether she follows your advice or not will be huge for. Comment 2. Not the idiot, in the slightest. Your daughter's been acting extremely secretive, cutting you out of significant life events, and you're expected to just smile and accept it? If anything, you're displaying an immense amount of patience and understanding. Let's put it out there, you're the parents here, you raised her, and it's only natural to expect a certain level of openness. And let's face the reality, this isn't just some college sweetheart drama we're talking about. This involves a child, your grandchild, who has the right to know and be loved by his extended family. Sure, the circumstances are less than ideal. But how is this kid supposed to grow up with a healthy understanding of family when his parents are trying to play gatekeepers to his relationships? Your daughter needs a reality check, and you're just the ones to give it. She's got a lot to figure out, and instead of pushing away family, she should be embracing the support system she's lucky to have. If anything, I'd argue you're doing her a favor by stepping back. Maybe that'll be the wake-up call she needs to sort out her priorities. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for bailing on my brother's wedding last minute? I, 29F, have been working as a wedding planner for about 6 years now. Last year, my brother, B, 29M, asked me to plan his wedding for him, and as his sister I was happy to do so for free. Everything was going pretty well until maybe a week and a half before the wedding, when he told me to remove our little brother, J, 24M, from the guest list. I tried asking him why, but the only answer he would give me is that J was being stubborn and selfish. Of course, I had to ask J about this. Apparently B showed up at his apartment and offered to let J attend the wedding as long as he doesn't act so gay. J of course took offense to that and told B to frick off, probably leading him to calling me and uninviting him. B has always been harsh to J. He's the type of manly man that despises anything feminine. So when J came out to us, B's bullying got worse and worse, leading to there being a pretty big rift between them. I've been trying to get the two of them to work out their differences, but B won't even try and hear out what J has to say to him. I decided that uninviting J to the wedding was the last straw and that I'm not gonna keep helping B if he's gonna continue to act like an idiot to our own little brother. So I sent B all the info for everything I planned at that point. The contacts for the venue, the catering, decorations, everything. Then I told him that if he's gonna keep treating Jay like poop, then he should plan his own wedding because I'm not going to. B told everyone that I bailed on him last second, and that the wedding would have to be postponed because of me. As you'd expect, people were mad, relatives were bombarding me about how important this would be for B, and how I'm ruining an important milestone in his and his girlfriend's life. When I tried to explain myself, I got people telling me that I shouldn't have done something so drastic over a petty squabble between brothers. Am I the idiot? Mini update. It's been about 5 days since B told our family I bailed on him, and a few new things have popped up. Mainly, B's fiancée has told everyone that it was her who decided to postpone the wedding, and it's not because they couldn't finish planning. She said that this current situation with Jay has brought up some past issues in their relationship, and that she needs more time to talk to B about it and reflect before fully committing to marrying him. One of the few times I've ever seen B express vulnerability is with his fiancée. I'm hoping that she can be the one to talk some sense back into him, and hopefully even talk through his hatred of Jay. I've seen some comments say that B coming to Jay's apartment to invite him shows that B really does care about him being there. I thought I should at least tell Jay that, even if it may be untrue. His response was, "Appreciate the sentiment, but B has never given me any incentive to be a part of his life. If he really did care about me, then his invite wouldn't be attached to an insult but instead to an apology." Now for a few comments before the main update. Not the idiot. B acted like an and caused trouble. B put you in the position where you had to choose. You chose to protect your other brother. You did the right thing. Defend yourself against people who complain. Comment 2. Not the idiot. He shouldn't be garnering any sympathy either. Not inviting your brother to the wedding isn't a petty squabble. That's relationship ruining. Your relatives are just so dense or bigoted as well. They shouldn't even have to delay their wedding either. All those relatives that's blasting you could easily help take over the duties. Good on you for sticking with the non-idiot brother. Now for the update. After B's fiancé's announcement, the drama died down a bit. I was a little concerned because both her and B were completely silent for a good month. No texts, no calls, it was like they disappeared. During this time I took the advice of some commenters and apologized to my Jay for trying to force a better relationship between him and B, and for brushing off the bullying that B put him through. He said that he forgives me, but I still want to work on being a better sister. A few weeks ago I got a message from G asking if we could meet at a restaurant, and if I could bring Jay with me. I asked why, especially after all the silence, and she told me that her and B wanted to talk. I informed you about this. I wanted to know what was going on, so I was gonna go. But I told him that he didn't have to go with me if he didn't want to. He told me that he thinks he'll be able to handle it, and if B still treats him the same, he'll just leave. Me and Jay went together. When we got there I could sense that B was feeling nervous. He looked like he was about to cry. Me and G started the conversation by just catching up with each other on what's been happening since we last met. At some point though, B cracked. He took a deep breath and looked at G. B started a speech about how we grew up, and my mind was racing trying to figure out where this was going, until suddenly I just heard the words, "I'm bisexual," and everything cleared up. B went on to talk about how he felt he needed to hide this his whole life. He was envious towards Jay for being able to express himself so openly, which led him to start bullying Jay and pushing him deeper and deeper into the closet. It ended with him apologizing to Jay and asking for forgiveness. Jay was quiet for this whole talk until he felt it was his turn to speak. He said, "B, I hear you. I know where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from, but none of that excuses the poop you've put me through since we were teens. I can and will try to forgive you, but it's going to take a lot of effort on your end." The rest of the night was a bit of a blur for me. There was alcohol involved, but I do recall B and Jay cry hugging by the end, which I was very glad to see. Jay says that there's still a bit of awkwardness between the two of them, but with time he thinks he might just see B as his nice older brother again. As for the wedding, it's back on but with an undecided date as of right now, and yes, Jay is going to be allowed in this time. He can even bring his boyfriend along with him. B's even decided to have Jay be a groomsman and told him, "You can act as gay as you want, Jay," which I don't think is the best thing to say, but I like the sentiment. Comment 1. I'm glad B came to his senses and that Jay is willing, in time, to forgive B. B is very lucky that his fiancée clearly got him to open up. If I were Jay, I don't know if I would be so able to forgive after years of abuse and that abuse being ignored. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Honestly, I don't see why you had to meddle in the wedding plans based on your own judgment of B's actions. The fact of the matter is that he is the groom, and he should be able to decide who he does and doesn't want at his wedding. It seems like you took this as an opportunity to punish B for what you perceive to be poor behavior, instead of facilitating a solution for your family. I think it's clear that the postponement and subsequent drama were all because of your last-minute refusal to support your brother's decisions for his own wedding, even though you agreed to do so in the first place. Who made you the judge, jury, and executioner here? You chose to be the wedding planner. That means you manage logistics and help execute B's and his fiance's vision, not decide who deserves to attend based on your personal feelings. Also, it's kind of rich that you complain about B not being open to listening to J when it's evident you aren't open to listening to B. The double standards are clear. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for telling my sister her baggage isn't my issue? I, female 28, am a single mom of 3 kids. I met my daughter when I was 22 volunteering in a mentor program. Her bio mom asked that I take her in for a while when she was having a hard time, so I agreed to become her foster parent. Then 2 years ago we got the paperwork together for me to become her official guardian. I plan to adopt when kiddo is old enough to tell me that's what she wants. Last year I got a phone call from my daughter's caseworker, informing me that her bio mom had another child and she wanted him to be placed with his sister, so I took him in too. I didn't plan on having any other children, but I met someone, it didn't last, and long story short is that I have a first grader, a toddler, and I'm 25 weeks. My sister Bree, female 34, always loved hanging with my kids whenever she had the spare time. She's been struggling with infertility since she and her husband started trying for a baby 8 years ago, and I can tell how badly she wants to be a mom. I really do hope that someday it does happen for her, because it's all she's ever wanted. Since I announced my pregnancy though, Bree has been kind of distant. I thought that maybe it was just life stuff or I was being overly emotional due to hormones, so I didn't really press her on it or anything and went about things as usual. Our mom invited us all to dinner the other night, so I got my kiddos settled with a sitter and drove to my mom's place. Dinner went mostly fine, but Bree kept giving me looks every time someone brought up the pregnancy, and towards the end of the night she asked why I even adopted 2 children if I clearly had no trouble making a baby of my own. I told her that when I started fostering my oldest, it was just to give her a safe place to live until her mom could get things sorted. Unfortunately that didn't happen, and now her brother is with me too. I love my children and I'm happy to be their mom, but it wasn't my intention in the beginning to adopt via foster care. I wanted their bio mom to work things out, and my heart genuinely hurts for her because she wasn't able to do that. Bree then said that it feels like I'm rubbing my kids in her face. She told me that it isn't fair that I basically had 2 kids fall into my lap, and then decided to be reckless and get knocked up too, all while she's been trying for years to have a child with no luck. She said it's cruel and unfair that I took 2 babies from the system that could have gone to parents who deserved them, all while being able to easily have one on my own. I ended up telling her that while it sucks, it's not my fault that some people want kids and can have them, and that her infertility baggage isn't really my issue. Our mother asked me to leave and the next day called me to tell me that I was being unnecessarily cruel to my sister when I know what she's been going through. Now I don't know if what I said was out of line. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your sister is being jealous and petty and it's misdirected. You don't have to deal with it, and what you said was right. Congrats on your 3 children. You sound like a great mother. Comment 2. Not the idiot. If she really cared about children in foster care, she would become a foster parent herself. This is purely about her. What are you supposed to do? Stop making fertility choices just because it makes her feel bad. Now for the update. Hi, I know it's only been a few days since I last posted, but something's happened and I've decided to rinse my hands of the situation, so I thought I'd provide you all with an update. First though, I do want to thank you for your feedback. It was nice to be reassured that I wasn't being overly mean, as that's what I was mainly worried about. I do really love my sister, and I don't ever want to cause her to hurt, even when we are fighting. So my mom was supposed to go to my anatomy scan with me yesterday, but she called me and told me that because Bree is still upset to the point of not speaking to me, she didn't want to make it any worse by going to the appointment. I took my toddler with me instead, and he was great company. The nurses absolutely loved having him there, and it was easier not to think about the fact that my mom ditched me when I had him to focus on. Mom did text me later wanting to know if the baby was a boy or a girl and if everything went alright, but I still haven't texted her back because I feel like I just end up getting even more hurt about the situation. I don't think I'm going to try anymore with either of them. I wanted to in the beginning because I think Bree just needs to talk to a therapist and sort her feelings out, but our mom deciding to skip out on this appointment with me just kinda sealed the deal. I sent Bree's husband a message, since Bree has blocked me, telling them both that I hope things work out for them in all the ways they deserve, and that I am genuinely sorry if I hurt her. I recommended talking to a therapist or support group of some kind, and said that when Bree has worked through all of the things she still needs to work through, she's more than welcome to call me. My dad found out about the argument, and he's offered to come drive down with his wife to stay with me when the baby gets here, since the plan was originally for my mom to do it instead. I told him I'd let him know once it gets closer to the actual date, but I think that's probably what's going to end up happening. I'm not gonna focus too much on Bree and my mom right now. My kiddos are my priority, and I think what's best is to keep them away from the drama, so I don't plan on allowing Bree or my mom around for a while. Thank you guys again so much for all of your responses, as it was really helpful to have outside perspectives on the situation. It definitely helped me figure out a few things for myself. Edit. Baby number 3 is a little boy. You all are so sweet for asking. Edit. Point 2. Some people have been asking, so I wanted to clarify a few things. My kid's bio mom and I had initially agreed upon me caring for the oldest without any outside court involvement, just an agreement between the two of us. 2 years after that initial agreement, I was 24, and it was clear that my daughter would be staying with me for much longer than originally intended, so then bio mom and I did mutually decide on court involvement to make this situation official. Neither of the kids were infants when I was granted custody of them. My toddler hung out with the nurses at the front of the clinic while I was in the actual appointment. LOL. He was too little to be allowed back. Comment 1. I feel like your mom is making excuses for your sister's bad behavior and, in the process, is reinforcing said behavior. I think you made the best call you can for yourself and children. Just be sure to set good boundaries and be ready to reinforce them, because once the dust settles, someone may attempt to test them. And not the idiot this time or last. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Honestly, I can't believe the audacity you have. Adoption isn't just a game where you can hoard children like some sort of family-themed Pokemon trainer. You adopted not 1 but 2 children, seemingly on a whim, from a mother who was just having a hard time. Who are you to determine she couldn't work things out? Moreover, you then recklessly bring a 3rd child into this world with a man who is not even around anymore. These children deserve stability and a nuclear family environment, not just being part of some patchwork family experiment. And just because you can get pregnant doesn't mean you should. Your sister's pain is real. She has a right to feel hurt that you're playing house with 3 children while she's unable to have even 1. It's a cruel world where people like you get to just acquire kids left and right without a thought, while others are left empty-handed. You should have considered her feelings before adding to your collection. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Do not reply to your mom. Let her sit and wonder. When she asks again, reply. If you really wanted to know, you would have shown up. And block her for a while. I'm glad you have your dad for help. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for refusing to stop visiting my daughter over her sister? I, female 56, and my husband Kurt, male 59, have 2 daughters, Ruth 32 and June 30th. 8 years ago, Ruth split up with her college boyfriend, Adam 32. They'd been together since she was 21, and it was as serious as a college relationship could be. About 5 years ago, June announced that she reconnected with Adam at some alumni get-together. They'd all gone to the same university, and that they were now dating. Of course, Kurt and I were shocked she would do this despite her sister's history with him. But she insisted that they were in love and she can't help that, and that Ruth and Adam hadn't been together in years, so she hasn't done anything wrong. Ruth, understandably, was enraged over it. She said she was done with June and would never see her again. This broke me. They were so close growing up and I prayed every day they'd reconcile. But I accepted they're adults who can make their own choices and we have no say. Kurt and I were also very disappointed with June and told her off many times. But after she proved that there was never any cheating involved while Ruth and Adam were together, things between us settled down. Out of respect for Ruth's feelings, we never brought the girls together again. Ruth and June visit us separately and still aren't on speaking terms after 5 years, but we maintained our relationships. Now June and Adam are married. Ruth has also moved on with a lovely boy. Coincidentally, both girls are expecting their first child. Ruth's due date is a little earlier. I can't put into words how excited we are to be grandparents and adore both these children. I've been supportive and as involved with both our daughters' pregnancies as they want. However, last week Ruth dropped a bomb on us. She said that if we ever see June again or her baby, she won't allow us in her child's life. This shattered me. It keeps me up every night. The thought of either of my grandchildren being deprived of loving grandparents is agonizing. I know Ruth was deeply hurt by June's actions, but I don't know if we should be punished just for not cutting our kid off. How can any parent even consider disowning a child? We begged her to reconsider and said our love for them both isn't conditional, and we can't just stop loving one, but she's adamant. I don't want to accept Ruth's terms, as it seems like no matter what we decide, we're going to lose a daughter and grandchild. So I'd rather it not happen because we outright chose it. But I also don't want Ruth to believe we just drop her in favor of June, because again, the thought crushes me. Would I be the idiot if I don't comply with Ruth's ultimatum? AITA, thank you to everyone for commiserating with this situation. I wish I could say it's helped me feel better, but right now it feels like nothing ever will. One of my babies hates the other. It broke me, but I accepted it. Now I'm faced with losing one of them no matter what. Entirely too many comments to respond to individually, so I just want to answer some of the most common questions here. Why did Ruth and Adam split up? Ruth left Adam because it just wasn't working. He was immature and said and did things that irritated her, mostly lots of minor things adding up. She said there was never any abuse nor cheating, but it was the right decision for herself. He was a nice enough boy, but he definitely had some growing up to do at the time. I did feel very badly for Ruth because she had invested a good few years into the relationship for someone so young, but agreed it was the right decision. Did we ever support Ruth? Ruth stayed with us for a few months when it first happened, not just because of this, there were other reasons, and we were there for her and comforted her the whole time. Because she was so angry, we had asked June to not visit until she left. We still talked to her and met a couple of times in public places. We made it known that this hurt her sister, and we were disappointed she didn't think of this. June understood and agreed with us supporting Ruth. She expressed sadness over losing her sister, but we clearly told her it was Ruth's decision to cut her off. Whether one thinks June did nothing wrong or not, it's untrue to say there were never any consequences for this. She's sad to this day that she's lost her sister, and knows she has to accept and live with it. Did June ever apologize to Ruth? Both girls have confirmed that June reached out a few times over the years to apologize. No one put her up to it. Ruth didn't forgive her, and she's well within her rights not to. We understand no one can or should make her accept the apology. Why don't we just cut off Adam? He's June's husband and the father of our second grandchild. They're a package deal now. Once we cut him off, we risk losing June and our grandchild anyway, which is the same as what I'm trying to prevent with Ruth. Some comments say that in letting June stay in our lives after this, I already chose her and asked why I didn't cut her off from the start. I'm baffled that anyone would suggest I could just disown a child so easily like she was never ours. Not disowning June doesn't mean I chose to be her mother over Ruth, as I never abandoned Ruth and never will. Ruth has thanked us for our support in the past. She said she was fine with how we'd arranged things for the last 5 years. As long as she never had to see June, she was happy seeing us and everything was normal between us. It's only now that she wants us to disown June. Some say she should have cut us off years ago for still loving June. She said many times her goal isn't to cut us off. She loves us and wants us to be involved with her child, but that she can't stand June or her baby getting the same love and care from us because she thinks she doesn't deserve it. I want to add that if Adam had ever abused or cheated on Ruth, we certainly would have gone no contact or at least Elsie with them. But that's not what happened, and both girls used to repeatedly tell us that what happened between them had nothing to do with us. So yes, I did keep my relationship with both daughters. I don't regret it because, as heartbreaking as this is, willingly cutting off either of them, outside of the circumstances I mentioned, is unfathomable to me or their father. Thank you again to everyone for their good wishes, and for suggesting family therapy. I will try and bring it up with Ruth and my husband. Comment 1. Not the idiot. She's just making a final bid for control and using the baby as leverage. What happened to Ruth sucks, but she shouldn't be trying to take out her feelings on you guys, who sound like loving parents. Tell her that you don't like the ultimatum and leave the door open should she change her mind. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Tell Ruth that you will never turn your back on any of your children and that she is making the choice to not be a part of your life. Let her know that your door is always open, and as much as it hurts, continue to send cards, Christmas and birthday presents to your grandchild. She will most likely come around, but even if she doesn't, you will know that you kept the lines of communication open while respecting her boundaries. Then the original poster responded with, I probably sound crazy, But thinking of this almost breaks my heart most of all. I know a few people who've been denied access to their grandkids who do this. The thought of sending gifts, cards, money, photos, etc. that will all end up in some dusty box in an attic somewhere that our grandchild may never see absolutely kills me. They'll never know how much we love them and yearn for them. I've wondered if Ruth would just throw everything away, and there wouldn't even be any proof that we sent them or cared at all. If she asks us to stop sending them, we'd have to comply. But even if we get to shower June's child with love, I can never not think of the fact that we can't do the same for Ruth's. Now for the update. Hello again. Thank you for all the support and advice on my first post. A lot's happened, so I think I should provide an update. We followed the advice and told Ruth that if she decided to go no contact, we would comply, but we could never willingly cut off either of them. We again begged her to reconsider and reiterated that we were willing to go do family therapy, that we would do all we could to keep her and June apart, anything to make it work. She said she still wasn't happy June and her baby would stay in our lives, but she would think about it. Kurt and I also looked into opening an account for Ruth's child, but didn't go through with it yet in hopes that things could turn around. Days went by, we didn't hear back from Ruth. It was agony. Then we get a call from June. She'd gotten wind of what was happening, through mutual family. She drove to Ruth herself. No one put her up to this, She was prepared for Ruth to kick her out anyway. Once she was there, she apologized again and begged her not to do this. She said she could accept Ruth wanting nothing to do with her, but not to punish us because of it, especially since they both knew that cutting us off would cost her child-loving grandparents. Shockingly, Ruth didn't kick her out. She let her in and they both had a long, tearful argument/fight. They even hugged a few times. I'm foggy on details, but I suspect pregnancy hormones played a huge role here. I can't tell you how panicked I was hearing this story, because it could have been so risky for them both, They haven't exactly made up and Ruth didn't forgive June, but she admitted to her that her husband, Owen, has actually been trying to convince her to go to couples counseling and individual therapy as well. Apparently since Ruth's pregnancy, some troubling qualities that he was able to deal with previously were exacerbated. She was becoming controlling and paranoid, and he was pleading with her to get help so they could be in a good place once the baby was born. June's visit was the final straw and Ruth broke down and agreed. Ruth called us later, she corroborated June's story, and accepted our therapy offer. She still has one condition. She wants Owen there if June has to attend any sessions, and she doesn't want Adam present at all. We all agreed. The first session is in a few days. I can barely keep it together that I'll see both my babies in the same room for the first time in forever. It's been so stressful, but I can finally see some light. I haven't lost my daughters. Kurt and I are going to put everything into keeping our family together. I'm not going to be naive and assume everything will be fine now, but I'm hopeful. I want to thank everyone again for all the comfort and help. To those who sent kind DMs sharing their similar situations, I truly appreciate your solidarity. As for those who sent DMs calling one or both of my daughters whores/sluts and hoping that they lose their unborn babies, I can only hope nothing abhorrent in your lives is driving you to be so miserable as to wish such heinous things on a stranger. Comment 1. I wasn't there for your original post, but I felt so bad when I went back and read it. I'm glad things seem to be going on a better path, and I hope everything gets in a more peaceful place for all involved, whatever happens. Wishing y'all much love and nothing but the best. Comment 2. Well, buckle up because I'm about to say what everyone else here seems to be too chicken to. You're the idiot. Clearly. Here's a wild idea. Maybe instead of adding fuel to the fire of your sister's pain, you could have been compassionate, understanding, and I don't know, empathetic. But no, you decided to toss her feelings aside like yesterday's trash and play the blame game. And then you have the audacity to be shocked when you're asked to leave? Please. Your sister has been battling with infertility, a soul-crushing struggle that you clearly can't begin to understand, and you respond to her emotional distress by saying her infertility baggage isn't your issue. It's your family, and family issues are your issues, whether you like it or not. Ever heard of the concept of being there for each other? Guess not. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.